Hey there, Nico here for Zambezi Flora. I am in the Lusaka East Forest Reserve today. I'm just trying to get out and have a look and see what there is flowering at the moment. It is early September, there's not too much, but this is a beautiful Miombo woodland area. It is under threat because of development around Lusaka, but I'm not going to get into that. Ostensibly, I'm actually looking for some of the early flowering orchids today, hoping that I'm going to come across some to help with some of the phylogenetic work that a colleague of mine is doing. But they might be a little bit more difficult to spot because they don't stand out very much at this time of year. That said, let's go have a look and hopefully we will find some of those and see what else is blooming. Well, I didn't have to wait too long to find one. This little guy right in front of me, I have ID'd it before. I've come across it before, and I actually have this in the nursery. This is Eulophia katangensis, but there's a bit of confusion at the moment because we've been also finding some. I collected another plant earlier this morning from close to a friend's house that ostensibly can also be categorized as katangensis, but looks quite different to this. I'll pop up a picture so you can see. This is a very slight plant. There's only about 3 flowers on this. Looks like there had been about 5 or 6 in total. There is 2 other plants around me here, but a beautiful little, very sparsely colored plant. It's got that kind of nice purpley pink lip to it. And other than that, it's kind of tannish pink, effectively. Doesn't stand out too much. I've always been very curious about what pollinates these. The ones I have in the nursery are just about finished flowering now, but whatever does pollinate it has obviously been around my place because almost many of the flowers have been pollinated, and I'll get seed to try growing it, but I'll also then take some of that seed to send to the Millennium Seed Bank up at Wakehurst Place in the UK. But it's a nice little find here with these 3, and hopefully we'll see something different as well. We've got a little tiny Aeschynomene here. I think this is probably Aeschynomene mimosifolia. It has tiny little leaflets, very kind of reminiscent of the Mimosoideae family, especially some of the acacias and albizia, well, a few of the albizia. But it has these fantastic little bright yellow flowers, and of course the kind of articulated pods to the plants as well. These, following the fire that came through here, have now shot back up and are producing their flowers and fruits very early in the season. These will then germinate this coming rainy season and spread about. They don't seem to have any hairs on them. I doubt that they are spread by, or at least the seed, sorry. I doubt that they're spread by animals or something like that. So I'm not exactly sure how these would be dispersed. But a lot of these kind of woodland areas, especially around these rocky outcrops, there's a lot of these kind of popping up. So it's really nice to see them doing so well and kind of brightening up the drab landscape with these bright yellowish orange flowers. A very common one to find at this time of year is this little guy here, Vigna pygmaea. It is only easily spotted after the ground has been burnt, and it pops up its little pinkish purple flowers like this. Usually you'll see 1, maybe 2 together. They'll set seed, that seed will disperse, and then with the arrival of the rains will it start to grow leaves and things like that. Always a bit of a trickster, this one, in terms of if you're looking for things like orchids at this time of year, you spot a bit of color, you think, oh, maybe that's something. Most likely it'll turn out to be this little guy here. But always lovely to see him blooming so well. And again, we'll probably come across him because he's very widespread in woodlands like this. We've got another Fabaceae member here. I don't think this is Vigna. I think this might be a Sphenostylis species. I definitely could be wrong in that. I'm not hugely strong on the Fabaceae, but a lovely, fairly large flower actually, and this kind of paniculate inflorescence coming up. Very interesting in terms of having this twisted keel to it though, just at the top of the flower, very twisted on this. I don't know if that's normal for this or whether or not that would be an aberrant form. There's no other flowers open at the moment to check against it, but a nice little find here. And I will see if I cannot identify this back at home. All right, I've come across another clump of that same Fabaceae, and I'm almost certain it actually is a Vigna now. This would be Vigna antunesiana or antunesii. I'd have to check on the name again, see which one that is. But it's very characteristic with that twisted keel. And these ones are showing it much more, in addition to having more consistent inflorescences in the way that I'm used to, not it being almost paniculate in that. And then bending right down here, I've only just noticed there is another Eulophia right here. Unfortunately, one flower has opened and is now closed. The other one has still yet to open. And I'll collect this and hopefully see it open, but I see there is some damage to the plant. It also looks like it's been chewed by something a little bit, but maybe if I'm lucky, there'll be others around here that will be open, and I'll be able to see that flower fully open. Well, as is usually the case, as I'm on the lookout for that other Eulophia that I saw next to that Vigna antunesiana clump, I've come across another one. Now these flowers are absolutely tiny, less than a centimeter across. They have a very long pedicel and ovary, tiny little spur to the back of them. There's not many flowers open on this stalk here. We've got another stalk coming up here, and there's actually a third one just in front here. But beautiful little, very brightly colored yellow lip. But then the rest of the flower is more yellow-green, effectively. Quite difficult to spot along the ground as you're walking. And you got to definitely have your eye attuned to spotting just those slight changes in color. But a lovely little find. Definitely going to collect this one and hopefully, get to see what it is. I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but I'm kind of putting my money on. Well, I'm not even going to say. I don't want to take a guess until I can get home and key it. But a lovely little find because I've never ever come across this species before. Got a lovely little Ochna leptoclada here. This is a suffratex. Again, most of its woody parts will be below ground, and then it puts up annual stems, or in this case, this stem looks like it was from last year. So I don't know if a fire didn't pass through here or what, but it has left it. And with Ochna, the flowers last a very short period of time. These top two flowers have already shed their petals. The sepals are remaining, and they will enlarge and then color up to provide an extra layer of kind of ornamentation of this. Well, I would say genus, actually, although Ochnas have enlarged and very ornamental sepals. But it's lovely to see the bright yellow flowers on this. I don't come across them too often because, as I say, they last a very short period of time. By the end of the day, these petals will have fallen, and that will be it. So you got to see this as the flowers have just opened, and it's lovely to come across it like this at the moment. So a nice little find, a nice little bright harbinger of spring as the warm weather comes on and we get towards the start of our growing season. We have quite a number of hibiscus species in Zambia, but a lot of them are annuals. But we do have some lovely perennials and some woody ones as well. And this is it's another suffratex species. It'll have a woody rootstock and then send up annual shoots, which at this time of year are crowned by these fantastic, bright kind of scarlet red flowers. This is Hibiscus rhodanthus. Very easily recognizable at this time of year. You won't mistake this with anything else. It can also flower on larger stems at different times of year, but this is when it is the most visible and usually stunning. This would have been a fantastic clump to see yesterday when it would have had at least 2 flowers open. There's a few more still to come, and what looks to be a developing seed pod here. So I have been seeing this as I've been walking around, but not as numerous as things like the Vigna pygmaea, but still a lovely one to spot, and as I say, unmistakable. Well, I'd almost just about given up, having not come across anything else for quite a while, at least any Eulophia, sorry. And then you spot something little like this. Only one that I've managed to find in this area. A lovely little area with these xerophyta growing all throughout, so this would be fantastic to see after it rains when these come up and re-green and then put out their flowers. So I'll definitely try and make it to see that. But right now, I am quite excited as this is definitely something different. It has a branched inflorescence. These tiny little yellowish green flowers with a bit of a white lip. I would have thought it would have been something close to Eulophia Orchids, but with this branched inflorescence, it's a much larger, kind of stouter plant than what Orchidaceae is in my experience. So it'll be fantastic to get this back home and try and key it out and see what it is. But I don't think I've ever come across this before, and it's a lovely find towards the end of my day here. All right, well, that's it for me today. It's been actually a very fantastic day for that. 4 collections of Eulophia here in the woodland, and 1 other from a different part of the woodlands. One that I know for sure, the other 4 are still a bit of a question mark at the moment. But we've seen a few of the other kind of early spring wildflowers, which has been nice. And yeah, well, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.